All right, let's talk about Tua. Let's talk about the Dolphins. This was a disappointing offensive showing for them against a very good team, admittedly, and they still did have some good plays, which we will get into. The questions for this video that we're going to ask is A, what went wrong? B, what do they maybe do to fix those things in the future? And then C, are there some long-term concerns for this team? Is there, I don't want to say blueprint, but is there something that's been figured out, or is this just, hey, it's one of those days? Because again, while some offensive numbers might look okay, also we're mentioning 7 points were off a pick six. Like I said, there were some good, there were some bad. Let's just jump into it. Let's start off with this play. Chris Collinsworth already wrote on the screen, so I'll just use his little diagram there. It is a stunt that the Eagles are running, where an interior defensive lineman is going to move in, kind of try to get the guard to move in that direction. Your edge rusher is then going to run and go to where the guard was, but now hopefully isn't. So the guard on this play, this is Lester Cotton, who, this is a tough situation for Lester Cotton. Only had 12 snaps on the year, an undrafted free agent. You're not expecting much from him, but still, let's watch what happens. So, right when this play begins, you see how he, does an okay job, I would say, at clearing out the defensive tackle, but the issue is he's clearly left himself open here towards his right, meaning that there's definitely a window, and this is kind of something that I feel like was a real issue with the Miami Dolphins when things went poorly, was penalties. And while not all penalties are because of a great defensive play or a bad offensive play, sometimes it's just discipline, right? That's obviously going to be a part of it. But sometimes it is because of a good defensive play, like what's going to happen here. As you see, Cotton's going to reach out and just that's a hold, and that took a touchdown off the board. If they were able to make that block, then Tua's making this throw, and that's a 4-point swing in the football game. So that's definitely, they ended up settling for a field goal. So that's definitely a big thing, and it didn't just hurt them in obvious ways like this, but also put them in some, long situations. This one is going to be a 3rd and 15, and the Dolphins, at times can be very good at pushing the ball down the field, right? They don't need to have to dink and dunk, right? They're certainly a team that can get big chunk plays. In a situation like this, though, in a game like this, you have Hassan Reddick, who's going to be one-on-one on the outside against a tackle. This is going to be Austin Jackson, who I actually think has looked all right this year. But again, part of why this sort of makeshift offensive line for Miami has looked all right this year has been because they get the ball out of Tua's hands so quickly. But right here, you're going to see Reddick just, blow by him. And at this point, there's also pressure coming from elsewhere. Tua's in a bit of trouble. And this is definitely something that we saw, was this pass rush going up against this offensive line was a real advantage. And when you pair it with penalties, on this play, it's going to take a little bit of time. It's 3rd and 15, right? They're trying to still convert it. They're trying to still get the first down, but you don't have time here. Tua's going to instead have to hit a check down. If that was a 3rd and 5, maybe Tua would have still had time to make the play work, but when you have a longer developing play, going up against Philadelphia for Miami, it almost took those plays out of the playbook a little bit, which was definitely a real advantage for the Eagles. At the time, I certainly felt like this play was a big one for Miami. You're down 14 points. It's 3rd and 8. You don't want to kick a field goal here. You want to get the ball into the end zone. It's going to be, it is a one-on-one matchup with James Bradberry, but there's safety help over the top. And with it being Tyreek Hill, really, you have to be focused on him. And this is, in some ways, a communication thing, I would say, because, watch how they play this. Watch the safety, and watch how the safety, he's protecting over the middle. That's where he's going. But James Bradberry was not protecting himself from getting beat deep. This is, well, yes, he was double-teamed, there still was a window down the field. That's something that was obviously not ideal. And again, for some guys, for some receivers, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. At the end of the day, okay, you got a little bit out of position. Well, you can come back. Tyreek Hill, one of the, I think, underrated advantages of Tyreek Hill is people talk about how he can blow by you. I feel like not enough people talk about if he gets by you, you're screwed. There's no coming back. If he gets a step ahead of you, it's ball game. A lot of times you can come back, not against Tyreek. Well, I should say, not against Tyreek. There is the one way you could come back, and that would be with a missed throw, right? If Tua underthrows this, that's the way you could potentially get a scenario where you could come back. However, this throw is not missed. It is beautiful from Tua, and they were able to make it a 7-point game. And these are the kind of things that we just know Tyreek Hill is capable, and we know Tua is capable. You want to say it's a mistake by Philadelphia, you can say it's a mistake by Philadelphia, but good teams capitalize on mistakes, and that's what Tua and Tyreek did on this play. I also thought there was examples of just Miami not looking like Miami, or maybe it's just hey, it's football. Even if you're a really good team, you are going to make some mistakes. They beat themselves at times for sure. This play, which is just going to be kind of a weird play where it looks like Tyreek had it and then loses it, kind of almost like when he's trying to tuck it back in, loses it quickly enough for it to not be ruled a fumble and instead was ruled a incomplete pass, which was big because they did not recover it in the end zone, so that definitely helped. And also this play, these were actually both on the same drive, a drive they still could have gotten if, got a touchdown if it wasn't for a weird, a missed 4th down call. But you see just a bit of a clunky play. It seemed like not a perfect throw from Tua, but also still somewhat of a catchable football that just wasn't caught. So again, these near misses definitely hurt the Miami offense when things didn't go well. Also, the interception here with about 11 and a half minutes left, it's not a good throw. That's just what it is, where it's going to be zone coverage. And the concept, okay, pretty simple concept. A lot of what they were doing in this game, running a lot of clear out routes. The receiver closest towards the sideline, running a deeper route, trying to push players further deep. And then you have another player who's going to basically follow him. Well, there is a way to cover this, even if you clear out down the field. A linebacker can stay deep, but hey, then you get a mismatch. And watch as you see, Tua takes the snap, and a mismatch is exactly what happens. Okay, good. This is why Tua is making this throw. One little thing that's really important here, you see how there is a little bit of pressure coming up in front. And for Tua, he doesn't feel like he can fully step into this throw. Instead, he feels like he has to kind of go off his back foot. And because of that, look at just how much air he puts under that football. That's a fine decision to make, but you gotta throw a line drive there. You can't let that ball hang up, and Tua will do this. There will be a play or two where if he's throwing off balance, he just puts way too much air under it. You can throw off balance and not put air under it, and I feel like Tua needs to do a better job of doing that on specific plays. So that's, out of all the negatives to take away from this game, that's the only one I feel like is a real negative. The other stuff, okay, yeah, they beat themselves. They're not going to do that. They're not going to have those drop passes very often like they had in this one. The offensive line is concerning, but it's not going to be as big of a mismatch as, in most games. This is kind of an exception. They made some mistakes. It is what it is. Philadelphia's a really good football team. They have a good defense, and they were able to play well. That's what happened. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.